Welcome into GroomersTake, where we continue to look at the play-in series matchups starting tomorrow for the NHL. Let's look at the Calgary Flames versus the Winnipeg Jets, the number 8 and 9 seed, if you will. Firepower up front for the Calgary Flames. Johnny Hockey, Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, and Elias Lindholm. Lethal, deadly top line. But what can they back that up with? Oh, Matthew Tkachuk. He's pretty good. And it seems like Michael Backlund playing alongside Matthew Tkachuk has really helped him. He was on an absolute tear before the NHL stoppage. We'll see if he can continue that for the Calgary Flames going into this series. We're talking firepower for the Winnipeg Jets, and there's plenty of it. Just listen to this top line of Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Blake Wheeler. Absolutely lethal. I didn't even mention Patrick Laine and Nick Ehlers. Patrick Laine has really turned it around this season. I'm more of a believer now in him than I ever have been. It's because of that top line in Winnipeg is why I'm giving the firepower to the Winnipeg Jets. Let's look at some depth for the Winnipeg Jets. Cody Eakin centering that second line. Totally forgot about that addition. I really like it. He's not as much of an offensive guy, but he can really complement guys like Nick Ehlers and Patrick Laine on the second line. And then the bottom six guys for the Winnipeg Jets is very, very good and balanced in my opinion, with Andrew Kopp, Andrew Lowry, and Jack Roslovic on the third line, and then a nice fourth line in Mason Appleton, Nick Shore, past Leaf, and Matthew Perreault. They could also put the puck in the net for a fourth line, which is what you want. Let's look at some depth for the Calgary Flames. Milan Lucic, he's not as quite offensive as he used to be, but he's still a pain in the neck to play against. Sam Bennett, drafted high a few years back, I think top 3 or 4. Not the elite forward they were hoping, but I think he's rounding into shape as a very elite third-line center for the Calgary Flames. Then you also have Derek Ryan and Mark Janikowski. Good players who can bang it up, produce here once in a while, but I'm giving the depth on forward to the Winnipeg Jets just because of that bottom six. I'm a big fan of it. I mean, if I had to take 3, I'd take Lucic, Bennett, and Ryan. But I really like the bottom six of the Winnipeg Jets. I'm giving them the nod. Let's look at the defensive firepower for the Calgary Flames. We got Mark Giordano and Brody. Pretty good players. Giordano having a good season compared to his last season where he was a nomination for the Norris Trophy. Hard to replicate what he did last year, but he's still a very good point producer for them on the blue line. I've also added Eric Gustafsson up here for the Calgary Flames. I totally forgot again that he was picked up at the deadline from the Chicago Blackhawks. This is a really good piece for them. Compared to some firepower on the blue line for the Winnipeg Jets, what a different defensive blue line they have now compared to last year. So many guys going out, different names coming in, but I got Josh Morrissey and Neil Pionk. Good players. Josh Morrissey, I see more of a defensive guy. I actually see him being on Team Canada at the next Olympics if there is one. I'm very high on this guy, and Neil Pionk could produce here once in a while. I'm going to give the firepower on the blue line to Mark Giordano, TJ Brody, and the Calgary Flames here. I think they can produce more points. Let's look at some depth on the blue line for the Calgary Flames. You got Noah Hannafin. He was in that Dougie Hamilton trade with the Carolina Hurricanes. Also a guy that they thought could produce more, but I think he's going to round more into a defensive balanced player, but he's looking pretty good. And then I've got Forbort there, he's a banger, stay-at-home guy. And then I have Marcus Anderson. I believe his first name's Marcus, but Anderson is a younger dude, I think. But every game I've watched him this year, I've really been impressed with what he's been able to bring to the table compared to the depth on the Winnipeg Jets. We got, I believe it's Anthony DeMello. Maybe I'm wrong. Dylan DeMello. Either way. Good player back there. I believe he came over from the Ottawa Senators. You got Kulikov, Bulio, and Poolman. Guys who can bang. Pretty good depth there. Young. Not as much experience in the NHL for some of those guys. On the depth, this is really tough, but I'm going to give it again to the Calgary Flames. Let's look at the goalies. Bit of a scramble in Calgary right now with David Rittich and Cam Talbot. I think I'm going to give the nod to David Rittich. I think they're going to start him, but I heard rumors that maybe it was going to be Cam Talbot. I'm not sure. And then you have in Winnipeg, Mr. Vezina. He's winning it this year, folks. Connor Hellebuyck and Brisson. But Brisson, sorry, bud, you're irrelevant. Because we have Connor Hellebuyck. Unbelievable. He's going to be relied upon very highly to help Winnipeg get past the Calgary Flames. And it's because of Connor Hellebuyck that I am saying the Winnipeg Jets are taking this series 3-2. The firepower they have up front is going to be too much for the Calgary Flames defense and the goalies. Connor Hellebuyck, you are the reason Winnipeg will ultimately get past the Calgary Flames in 5 games. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.